Hi, my name's Adam. I'm one of the criminology teachers here at HNC, and we're just going to go through today Unit 2. Now, with some of the others that you've had a look at, you will have looked at Unit 1, which is one of the units we do, but one of the other units we do is between January and June, and this is where we focus on what makes people criminal. So we're just going to have a look through, and I'm going to just talk you through some of the reasons that we have for why people might be criminal, because it's quite an interesting question. And so one of the things we look at is it biological? Is this something built into us that makes us more likely to be criminal? It could be your genes, it could be that you have a gene that makes you produce more testosterone, it makes you more aggressive, that means you're much more likely to be criminal. Or you can have your environment. Often we know that most people and criminals come from a particular environment, and so are far more likely to have people influencing them or opportunities that lead to them being more criminal. And then also we've got lots and lots of other theories built into that look at all the different reasons why somebody might become criminal. So to try and give you a little bit of a taste of what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at just one theory. We're going to look at one type of crime, and then we're going to have a look at evaluating it, which will hopefully give you the whole picture of what we do in Unit 2. So first of all then, social learning theory. You might not have heard of social learning theory before, but you've probably heard of role models. Role models is a term that's used quite often, and so you probably are quite familiar with it as a term. And so what we suggest with role models is it's often people we look up to or people that we see as similar to us in some way. So it could be because of the same age or same gender. Often, if we think of celebrities, often we like to mimic or copy celebrities because there's something about them that you relate to. And so that's often what we're referring to when we talk about role models. The second one is a little bit different, vicarious reinforcement. It's probably one you're not as familiar with because it is quite a long-winded term. But actually what it means is it means being rewarded for the behaviour that you do. And we see this all the time, and if you reflect on when you were at primary school, you probably had quite a lot of this. You probably had star charts, or you had rainbows and sunbeams and various things that you were given if you were good or behaved well. And one of the reasons they do this is because you can see other people being rewarded, and by seeing them being rewarded, the idea is you will then want to mimic that behaviour. So that's the idea behind it in trying to get good behaviour out of you when you're young. And then finally, we just have a look at imitation. And imitation, we're just looking at what makes us copy certain behaviours. So that could be the motives, but I think often it's down to whether people feel that they're capable or able to do what they've observed someone do. So it's one thing to see somebody getting vicariously reinforced for something, and it's another thing to feel capable of doing that same behaviour. And so that's one of the aspects that we have in there. So that's the knowledge, that's our theory. Now let's have a look at a type of crime. So we decided to have a look at gang crime. Most people that fall into doing gang crime are normally around the age of 15, and they're normally getting involved in it or around people that are in it around ages 13 and 14. And so it's quite a useful one for us to use this theory with. And we're going to just have a look at these three terms we've just talked about and see how they apply. So let's have a look at role models. We've got a couple of things happening with role models, particularly when we're looking at gang crime. First of all, obviously, they're from similar genders. When you look at it, only about 7.5% of the population that are in gangs are female, so it's very male orientated. And so often they will be male role models that they will look up to that do this kind of crime. Similarities in race and ethnicity seem to be a feature. Often you'll hear about various gangs. Albanian gangs is one we hear a lot of, and that's because people from the same nationality and same background tend to end up falling into gangs as well. We also have people from the same background, if they're in the same area or brought up around people that have similar values and ideals, so they're more often to follow them. And then often they're around the same age. And like I said before, we have lots of people that are getting involved that are around the similar ages, or they say friends or family doing it as well. So that's our role models, and that's why we're going to copy them. One of the other areas is, like I said, vicarious reinforcement. And as you can see on my clip here, we've got various clips. So we've got here a young man demonstrating, showing how much money apparently he's earned. And then you've got another young man showing that he's got a really posh car. And this happens a lot on social media at the moment, where people that are members of gangs constantly show how much worth they have, how much they're getting out of it. And so this then means those young people looking at this see it as rewarding. They see it as rewarding because they can get these similar things. Now, obviously, they only show one side of it, but that's the side that they're witnessing. And also, there's what we call street cred as well, where people see or look up to various people because they're known in their neighbourhood or they're known in the area, and they can see them getting praised by others. So that's often why they see it being rewarding to be a part of crime. And our last one is imitation. Now, imitation, from being able to do perspective, it's actually quite an easy job. If you think about it really, selling drugs on a corner and people giving you money and you giving it back, it's not a complicated task. And so in terms of them feeling that they're able to do it, they often feel more than able to do it. They feel comfortable doing it because they might be amongst friends and other people around them that they know. They want to get the rewards of that money and cash that we talked about a little bit earlier. And they want to be protected from other gangs as well. And often, a lot of them are linked in there with other family and friends. So they'll often have somebody that's a friend of ours that's part of a gang, or maybe a member of their family that's part of a gang as well. So what we've done so far is we've looked at the theory, we've applied the theory to gang crime, the last bit. So we're just going to look at evaluating it. Some of the aspects that we've covered might not be covered in this. We did mention a little bit about background. But wealth or poverty is one of the big problems in terms of people that get caught up in gang crime. And this doesn't necessarily take that into account or look at it in any great detail. The other factors we mentioned earlier as well, biology, it doesn't necessarily take biology into account at all. The fact that people might get involved in gangs because they like being aggressive and they are physically aggressive because there's something happening inside them isn't something that's picked up at all. And then obviously one of the other factors as well is intelligence. And what we mean by this is often people that are gang members, often they don't do well at school, they don't have as many opportunities, and often that's something that's driving them into being criminal rather than the fact that they're looking up to others. It just feels like it's the only thing that they're able to do. And then the other aspect to this is sometimes we can say when we add a theory or try and use a theory to explain this type of crime, that we're almost justifying it for them, that it's not their fault that they were brought up in a certain situation, where that's not necessarily true, and we need people to take responsibility for their crimes. So these are just a few little problems that there might be with that particular theory. So hopefully that's given you a good idea about what criminology is all about, and especially some of the points about Unit 2. And hopefully this has given you a little bit of intrigue and hopefully something you're excited about doing. And if you are, make sure you apply, and hopefully if you're successful, we'll see you soon.